Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. Irving, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Khan is absent. Mrs. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Markel?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah.
Mr. Severino?
Yes, excuse me, President. Show the resolution.
Mrs. Van Buren Prezi? Mrs. Montgomery?
Here.
Mrs. Coles?
Here.
You have the quorum.
Thank you. Also present is Mr. Kennedy, the superintendent, Nathaniel Simon, our board attorney, Mr. Efsel, our board administrator, and Elizabeth Ruiz, our assistant board secretary. At this time, can I have a motion to open up public comments on agenda items only? Pat, seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
If anybody would like to come forward for public comments? Okay, I see nobody coming forward. Can I have a motion to close?
Second.
Pat, seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go to superintendent's report.
All right, so I got a couple of things. First, our girls volleyball team captured the Group 1 state title on Saturday. Again, I think this is 8 times in 11 years, or they've been to the championship 10 times in a row, so we kind of are taking it for granted, but they play on Saturday in the Tournament of Champions, so what they do now is they take every group's state champion, and they have another tournament, so they're playing Demarest at 2 o'clock at William Patterson. If they win that game, they play the #1 team in the state, IHA, at 5 o'clock. So follow Twitter to try to get there if you can, but first game's 2 o'clock. Also, and lastly, our building and ground guy started on Monday, met with all the guys, been to all the buildings, so he's off to a good start. And then I'm going to pass it over to the auditor to give his report.
Thank you. So first, I would like to thank Irvin and his staff for their cooperation and assistance with the audit. Before I go over the fund balance and reserve, I just wanted to go over the opinion of the audit. Relating to the June 30th, 2019 financial statements and the audit, the opinion that was provided was unmodified. It basically means that the district received a clean opinion. What that relates to is that the financial statements presented fairly in all material respects in the respective financial position of the district. Also, I would like to mention that the financial statements are in accordance with GAAP. So whoever's following along relating to the synopsis, I wanted to go through the balance sheet. So the overall position of the district of Bogota continues to be in an excellent financial shape. The overall fund balance of the district, mainly relating to the general fund, increased from roughly $3 million to start the year with, and ended the year with $3.4 million, so it's a $400,000 increase. Of that total fund balance and reserve, majority of it is reserved for capital reserve. The capital reserve increased about $1 million, which of the $1 million of the increase, the overall fund balance of capital reserve ended the year with $2.2 million. Of the $2.2 million, $685,000 is currently being used in the 1920 budget, this school year. The remaining balance of $1.5 million can be used for current capital projects or future capital projects of the district. In addition, the district has a small maintenance reserve at the end of 6/30/19, which is roughly about like 1,700, which the district has fully liquidated in 1920. So that small balance is being used in the 1920 budget. In addition, the district ended June 30th, 19 with $1.5 million surplus, of which 800,000 is currently being used in the 1920 budget. 700,000 is going to be used in 2021 for tax year. And then lastly, unassigned fund balance relating to the general fund on the balance sheet shows a negative 335,000, which is not really the true position of the district because the balance sheet has to be reflected on a GAAP basis. So what that means is the final state aid payments of the state, which is roughly 867,000, can't be recognized as a receivable because the state doesn't recognize the payable because of the timing. But when you factor in those final state aid payments into 18-19, the true unassigned general fund balance is about 532,000, which is excellent. In addition, the district also has about 204,000 reserved for capital projects in the capital projects fund. Of that, majority of it is actually reserved for open purchase orders. So majority of that capital projects fund balance is going to be close to being liquidated in 19. I don't know if anybody has any questions on the fund balance or on any of the reserves. Then I would like to go through the recommendations. The district ended the year with 3 recommendations, of which, based on the prior year, all prior year recommendations have been corrected, so there's no repeat recommendations. Of the 3 recommendations that have been reported in the management report, none of them are material or significant. The first recommendation related to cooperative purchasing contracts in excess of the bid threshold be submitted to the board for approval. The next recommendation relates to the student activity fund, and it relates to pre-number receipts should be utilized for all monies collected in the district student activity accounts. And then the last recommendation is also in the student activity account, and that pertains to all game summary worksheets contain the athletic director's signature for approval. I don't know if anybody has any questions with the recommendations.
Yeah, number 1 in that section. Isn't that recurring? It sounds familiar.
It's not reoccurring. The reason why it's not reoccurring, this is pretty much the award of the co-ops. In the prior year, the finding had to relate to the co-op was awarded, and this is based on co-op. The co-op was awarded for specific items, and they weren't itemizing their invoices to be in agreement with the how it was awarded. This is pretty much saying that all contracts that the district's using through the cooperative, all cooperative agreements be approved through board resolution in excess of 40,000.
No, that's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking about the student activity fund. Just the
Pre-number receipts.
receipts, yes.
The pre-number receipts, it wasn't noted in prior year audit.
Is it definitely, maybe you missed it.
Maybe it was, it might have been a few years back.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
I think the one year was the summer school receipt.
It's definitely familiar.
It could have been in prior years back, but it was definitely not in prior year. Relating to the pre-number receipts, I mean, we pulled a sample during the audit, and this has to relate to the high school and the scenic activity account.
In number 2, what was the thinking behind that as a recommendation?
For the pre-number receipts?
No, for number 2, underneath that.
Oh, for the student activities? That's just basically acknowledging that the game summary worksheets of indicating how much fees were collected, be acknowledged and authorized and signed off on the director. Acknowledging this is what was collected, this is what was turned over for deposit. So it's more of like an internal control procedure.
So for every game report, we collect money. It's only a few football games, maybe some basketball games. He has a starting ticket number and an ending ticket number. So he has how many tickets were sold, how much money was collected. He wasn't signing the report. So he was handing the report in, but he wasn't just signing it. So that's what the problem is.
So, Brad, that's one of Brad's.
Yeah, we already, as soon as he said to us, make sure he signs it, because he just wasn't signing when he was sending it down. So he added a signature line now, and he adds that to it.
Any other questions, Manager Director?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No.
Thank you, Yuka.
Okay, we're going to go on to the approval of minutes for October 8th, 2019, work session action meeting open and closed, and October 15th, regular meeting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, seconded by Kathy. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Markel?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
I recuse on the 8th, I wasn't here, and yes on that.
Mr. Sereno?
Not, no, work session, I'm here for work session, I recuse.
October 8th. Mr. Sereno?
I recused on the both of them on the 8th and yes on the 15th.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Move on to policy 1119-1901 to 1119-1913. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat? Second by Amanda. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Markel?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Sereno?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to education, 1119-1914 to 1119-1926. Can I have a motion?
25 and 24.
Did I miss something here?
We had a couple.
Oh, I have to add.
24.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. That's right, I didn't see it highlighted. To 1119-1922. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
14 through 24.
No, but I think we're doing two. We usually do them separately, don't we? Yeah. Is there added to the agenda?
25 and 26. So
Oh,
14.
I'm sorry, 23. Okay. So we're 23. The highlighting's getting me crazy. Yes, we're doing it to the 1119-1923.
14.
24.
24. I'll say that right.
5 and 6 I knew.
Okay.
5 and 6 I knew.
14 to 24.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Pat, seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you call the roll?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Markel?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Sereno?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, now we'll do 1119-1925 and 1119-1926. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Markel?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Sereno?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to personnel, 1119-1927 to 1119-1928. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mike, seconded by Amanda. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Markel?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Sereno?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren? Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Added to the agenda for personnel is 1119-1929 and 1119-1930. Can I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Pat?
Second.
Second by Charlie. Any discussion? No discussion. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Buckhill?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Severino?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to finance, 11/19/1931 to 11/19/1942. Can I have a motion?
No move.
Pat? Second by Eileen. Any discussion? Kathy?
Sorry, and I apologize for the last time. On 37, the safety grant, what is that?
I think you said cameras. Cameras to dead areas.
For the lockdown system, we added more cameras.
Okay, and on 38, it mentions that substitute school nurses that we have. Are we nurse, and these are like villains?
Yeah, we have, right now, we have 2 school nurses, and we still have the 1 nurse that is going through the sub-nurse, that's been the same one.
Right,
But this also gives us an option with a cheaper option.
okay.
And so much.
And if I may, on 40, Harris? Is it on the Harris?
Yeah.
That,
Okay, so this is.
State.
Okay.
Another damn.
we give them $25 for the slots.
And last one on 44, for the physical therapy.
So what we had a situation come up where our trainer
Right.
had to go to a wedding out of state and wasn't here with work coverage, so we want to make sure we always have coverage when we need it.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Irvin, call the roll, please.
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Buckhill?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Severino?
On number 31, yes on all except 024331, I refuse on that. That's stated to myself.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes, on also on 024355. Thank you.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, added to the agenda is 11/19/1943 to 11/19/1947. Can I have a motion?
No move.
Pat?
Second.
Second by Charlie. Any discussion on that? No? Irvin, can you pull the roll?
Can I ask a question?
You can.
Were all signatures that were needed obtained?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Irvin, can you pull the roll, please?
Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Buckhill?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Severino?
Yes on all except 47, I refuse.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes, on all.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports? No? Okay. Any old business? Kathy?
Couple things if I can. As you know, the Olympic December is coming up, and I spoke about that last month. My purpose is to review a little bit of the zoning resolution, so I'm looking at the board consensus on how we think I should vote, and then what my voting still needs to be objective and subjective to what the conversation is on the board here.
Okay.
So basically, the point of the resolution is from Hillsborough Board of Education, and because of how the funding has been distributed recently to some communities and whatnot, some communities are being, especially Hillsborough, the rate has changed dramatically. So they were overfunded for a number of years, now they're underfunded. What they're seeking is that the 2% cap can be waived in situations where they can't meet their financial obligations because of the distribution of funds. So school boards already has their basis and policies already to limit their maybe rally for taking out of that cap things like state mandated programs and, things that states that you have to pay for and those reimbursements. So the school boards, New Jersey School Boards is supporting the resolution. And it seems logical to me. They revised it just a little bit, and they've also sent it back to their own finance committees to review the actual financial effect and how much, and how, in the way that they develop.
Everybody for it?
Well, question,
Go ahead.
does that affect our district in any way?
It shouldn't, because it's not like we haven't changed dramatically, I don't know,
We're getting more money.
we're getting more money.
Okay.
What they want to do is they want to have it reviewed on like an annual basis, which they said could have a bad, it could kick back as a bad effect. If we have a drastic change in population or something, manually, all of a sudden we'd be losing money.
Right.
So they're still working on how, that the picture of how many years they would use to evaluate the baseline. But,
So they had an increase or a decrease
this,
in population?
they had a lot of high fancy homes and things built. So where they were, I'm thinking, like they were 5 million under, now they're like 13 million over, or the other way around. So they haven't had
Oh, okay.
dramatic change.
Gotcha.
So, and they're taking it back over a 6-year period. They take back a percentage of that overage every year. So after 6 years, they've taken back 100% of the amount that they're overfunding them. So it would be like as if they turned around and did that to us, they would start to have the state aid we got, they would start depleting it. So they're saying it's just hitting too hard in one big shot. There should be some flexibility for districts to get that done.
See anything, something else.
Is that for a year, Kathy?
Just make
Is it a yearly basis they'll decide, or no, is this?
I guess it would be towns dramatically affected, that they could feel, and I believe the school board are going to build beyond the plans and safety to rest. And then what this will do is it gives school boards, if it passes, it gives school boards the authority, if you will, to act on this behalf, because they have some consensus of
Right.
the Board of Education. That they want that.
You're not obligated to anything.
No,
So you don't, so it just gives you the option to do it if something happened and you would
Right,
need to raise
so if
more
it's
than
any town, like
2%.
rural towns or something that maybe have all of a sudden a lot of development that comes in and they're hit hard because they've gotten a lot of funding because they were so rolling, now they have all this growth. And they're saying, oh, no, we got too much money because they're looking at what it was, it's not right. I'm sorry, I'm doing this, I don't know.
No, that's fine.
Give the school board the authority to go to the legislature and ask them to do this, and they can just tell you,
They got it.
Everyone for it? Consensus, yeah?
Sorry, anything I should bring up?
No?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anybody else with new business? Oh, Kathy, no more?
Sorry, yeah, just
Oh, yeah.
also on old business, we talked about last month, I don't know if they where Urban was looking into that film for the glass on the classroom doors.
The vendor will come, I sent the floor plan, the vendor will come and visit the sites so you can provide the exact amount of proposals.
Sweet, okay. Thank you.
I have new
It's
business.
coming in December.
Also, I wanted to make a little report on school boards, but I don't have a.
Okay. Irfan, this question is for you. Maureen had asked, there was an article in the paper about unused school lunches that aren't used, that a lot of schools are now packaging them
They're packaging them to send them home.
to send home for people who need,
Someone gets it at the end of the day.
yeah. So I don't know if you had heard of that or seen it.
I saw the article. I think we would have to talk to the vendor because it becomes, if the kid takes it home, are they keeping it refrigerated when I think a liability one, I don't know what responsibilities are. If we give them something at 2 o'clock and they don't eat it till the next day, or,
Right.
I don't know how that works, but that would be something that we'd have to look into. But I did see that in the paper.
It was just something that Maureen is
it's
for
got
midweek.
mayonnaise on it, the kid doesn't eat it for a day.
Yeah.
Right, that's what
Well,
I'm
so
not
they were
aware.
packaging them to like freeze them, so even if you package them here frozen, then.
Something we could look at.
Better.
I don't know how much leftover food we have each day. That's something else we have to find out.
That's another thing on May 9 days, we try to avoid any leftovers.
Right.
And they're preparing as it's going along, I don't think it's too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
It was just a, it
I
was
didn't
just a,
think we had much stuff.
Yeah. All right. We saw it, so we were just wondering.
As someone who does lunch duty twice a day, fruit is something that's literally thrown away a lot. At my school, we actually have a table set up where kids, they get their tray of food, if they don't want the pear or the apple or whatever it is, they can leave it on a separate table. The kids that want to bring that home are allowed to bring it home. It's fruit, is, if we didn't do that, we would have literally hundreds of apples and pears thrown in the garbage that are perfectly fine. And it's one of my pet peeves, if I see kids throwing food at it. To me, it's a sin, but, you know, kids are kids, they don't think, they just throw it at them. So maybe, I don't know if that's a possibility. Fruit is something that, you know, once if it's ripe, it's ready to eat, and I don't know if that might be.
I think with us, they give them, if I remember, they give them the option to take it. They don't give them the lunch, so they walk through and then they have a basket there, and they have the option to take it if they want.
It's called 5 out of 3 options out of 5, and sometimes they don't bring it at all. And it's not like that they have to take it to the garbage, but we will look into it, review it, observe it, how that goes in the lunch bags. We can address that.
I had one question, maybe Mr. Kennedy, just very briefly about the SLOs and maybe some a brief, you know, how they're doing, what's the latest with them?
So far, they've been well received. Anytime I pop up in the building, they're out and about. Teachers seem to be happy with them. Could be a little boring for them because there's not a lot going on, and that's a good thing. As I say to the guy, you know, I don't want you telling me there's a lot of action. So, but so far they've been well received. I've been meeting with the police. They've done a very good job of trying to provide someone if they're absent. Because, for example, this week, the officer here, his mother passed away, so he's taken a couple of days off, so they've been trying to send someone when they can, but I believe the town is understaffed too, so I plan on meeting with the chief and seeing if we can try and get that 4th person part-time that we can fill in, but also provide them at events. We got a lot of basketball games coming up now, but it's hard to get someone that you say, they only want to work part-time. Everyone's looking for the, 20, guaranteed 20, 30, 40 hours a week, so that's been hard. But they just changed the law, and hopefully now new members will be going out for it. But I would say very positive. They're at the front door when you need them. They have the walkie-talkies. But put it this way, I'm not getting complaints about them, so that usually is the first good sign.
Do they have meetings as a team?
Yes, they meet the police station. I've actually attended 1 or 2 of them already, and we talked about from our end what we were talking about. We talk about it at our meetings when we meet and say, update what do you like, what you don't like. We provide them desk space in all the buildings now. 2 of them in the elementaries are right at the front door. When you come in, they have a little desk there where they do sit. Because what we're trying to do is get this back-end communication that if a student at home the night before, let's say there was a domestic violence call to the kids' home, they want to relay that message to the class 3, who relays it to the school administration, so we have counseling or something ready to talk to. So we kind of get a heads up on that end, so we're starting to incorporate that.
Okay, anybody else with new business?
Yeah, so when he was, Eric was his name, the auditor? He was talking about the recommendations. I was thinking, nowadays kids don't really carry cash or anything, but we've all got tons of cash apps like Venmo, Cash App, Zelle. Is it something that we could, as a school district, provide, like where if the kid wants to attend a game and doesn't have cash, but he can Venmo us $2 or, and this way, and it's also an easier way for accounting because it's credit, just a morsel.
Set it up.
Last summer, actually, we used the online payment for the summer school. 2/3 of the money we received the funds to the online, and we are pushing for the student activities, ongoing events like the yearbook or news. We are pushing to collect those online too. So we are trying to do the same thing. Less cash is better for everyone.
You're familiar with that?
I don't, you know what though? Yeah, I am, but I don't think a lot of our kids are, to be honest with you. I'd be curious to ask how many, because that requires a credit card for the most part, or a bank account.
Their parents, they.
So, I mean,
I mean, my 8th grader's not getting it.
I mean, I know that that's how we were giving allowance, like, there was no actual cash.
Or the parents, what you're saying, the parents.
Yeah, like, my daughter gets Venmo money for allowance, like, there's no actual exchange of cash anymore. And it's dangerous.
It's because you had your wallet too well.
It's dangerous. So, but yeah, but I mean, it is it's a simpler accounting system, and if the kids have it, it does work in our favor. Just a thought.
Operationally, we had to pay schools for the food service payments. We use the same app in different format, so it's easier to get into the website for the parents.
What if, like an app, you could put like an app where the kids pay with, like a barcode, and they come and they put it on there, and that's how they pay. So I know they use their student IDs or anything like that. It was like the people there.
Add it to their account.
Yeah. I'm in technology.
They could add the games to their paperwork.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Buy a season pass, it's cheaper. Nickel and dime the kids, that's what I'm about.
$400 a year. You could attend anything you want.
Okay, anybody else new business?
Second child,
No? Okay, can I have a motion to go into public comment? Pat? Second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if anybody would like to come forward for public comments? Okay, no one coming forward, can I have a motion to close? Pat?
Second.
Second by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to go into executive session. Whereas C-231 PL 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law, authorizes the public body to meet in executive or private session under certain limited circumstances. And whereas said law requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting before it can meet in such an executive or private session. Now therefore be it resolved by the Bogota Board of Education that it does hereby determine that it is necessary to meet an executive session on November 19, 2019 at 7:34 p.m. to discuss matters involving litigation and real estate. That the matter discussed will be made public if and when confidentiality is no longer required and action pursuant to said discussion shall take place only at public meeting. Can I have a motion? Pat, second by Eileen. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we should be about 10, 15 minutes. Okay, by Jim, all in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Pat, seconded by Jim, all in favor? Aye. Have a great weekend.
I gotta call.
Happy Thanksgiving.